Alright, what's going on guys, it's Liam here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about what the community wants to see from Wizard101 within this next year, or just 2024 in general. With all the negativity in the community lately, I figured I'd make a positive video and a constructive video that has, pretty straightforward points. The first point I want to bring up is going to be treasure cards. Now, I have three big problems with treasure cards in the game right now. One, the amount of space you get has not leveled up or scaled at all. Even though there's a ton of new cards being added into the game, there's now more modes than ever between, Decathlon, PvP, PvE, and raids. We haven't seen an increase in the TC space at all. And if you are somebody that does participate in every event or does PvP, you know how hard of a time it is to keep your TC below 999, right? And especially if you're a guild leader like myself, you also have to account for having like 600 Azoth in at all times. So I'd really like to see a better way to either store treasure cards or just have the limit go up. The second thing I don't like about the current TC system is when I'm trading with somebody, I have to click every card a single time. So if I want to trade 200 empowers to, Orin on my friends list, for example, I have to click that card 200 times. There should be a way within your TC book and trading where I can just hold down my left click and it'll just automatically put them in, and I think the players do want this because it's gotten to the point where people use auto clickers just for trading TC. The last thing I want to talk about is going to be standardizing TC. Primarily, this will be around advanced content within raids and PvP. The problem is when you only ban some cards for some schools and then leave it for others, what's going to happen is some schools are going to just flat out be better than others. 10 pip hits that are banned, like Storm Owl is TC banned, right? But not Sun Serpent, right? So if a fire uses Sun Serpent against a storm, the storm actually will lose that trade because we can't do it back, right? The DPP and stats are better on the fire. So I think standardizing TC to ban all the 10 pip hits that are like, have some value to them, or unbanning them, or auditing them so it's a fair playing field on, well, every school. I think that'd be a great thing for KI to look into, and that'd really help with the balancing of PvP at least, and make raids feel a bit better to do. Next thing I want to talk about is going to be a pet system audit, or at the very least, a system in pets to re-roll a failed talent, because making pets in this game is a very important thing, whether it's a PvE player, a PvP player, a decathlon player, energy set. You really are going to need a pet no matter what. You can keep putting it off. Eventually, you're going to run into a spot where you need a good pet in the game. Sure, it might have been fun years ago, but now it just feels like a money grab, and it doesn't feel good to make a pet anymore, Even when I make a pet and it doesn't fail at Mega, it's like, it's a hollow feeling to me, It's a hollow feeling. I'm not excited anymore because chances are I already spent so much money, to the point where it's just like, okay, I'm just disappointed because I spent all that money just to make this single pet. Like, I'm not even excited anymore. And on the topic of it costing so much money to make pets, maybe make accessible ways to actually get P9s and energy elixirs, because right now, all you can really do to get them is spend money, right? Like P9s and energy elixirs, right? That's the two you need when you're making a pet. And to my knowledge, you can only get them I think from like doing a raid, like a side boss on a raid, but that's just like the silliest thing I've ever heard, And I just don't really need to explain why that's silly. I should be able to craft energy elixirs or P9s and not have it take like 6 months to make one with the hatching elixir or hatching peppers and stuff like that. So I really think they need to look at more ways to get P9s and energy elixirs in the game, and really look at the the crafting recipes they have for P9s and energy elixirs in the pet pavilion here, because it's just unrealistic. Like, I think this recipe needs to be cut down by at least 75%. Next up, I want to talk about PvP. And I did talk about standardizing TC at the start of the video, which is a very important thing that would indirectly make PvP play and feel better. I think PvP tournaments need to come back to help get new players into the game comfortably. Also, I think there needs to be a, quest in the arena to explain Rochambeau and advance content because we don't really have that in the game right now, to my knowledge. At least there's not very good description of explaining how things are supposed to work within the context of Rochambeau right now. So I think having a quest to get those new players into PvP or advanced would be very good. And then they can go in tournaments and, have a low barrier to entry and not have much risk, but, some reward to feel good about getting into ranked potentially. I think that'd be a great thing to bring tournaments back with that kind of system of an introduction to Rochambeau. Also, I think the rewards between tournaments and Jordo and Marco need to be updated. When a new pack comes out, instead of making it objectively pay to win, you should put the gear updated right away, day 1, week 1, right in here, to reward PvP players who have been loyal to your game, right? Let's talk about the new pack, for example, right? The hat is meta, basically, right? The Wallaroo hat if you don't have raid gear, right? Even then, the Wallaroo hat's pretty good. But day 1, the pack comes out as meta gear. You have to wait 4 to 3 months to wait for a free-to-play alternative, which is bad for the game. But when that new pack comes out, what if it's out in Marco? And I've done PvP in the past, so I can, look at the gear. I can get it on day 1, free to play, and hop in queue and keep playing, rather than having to wait 3 to 4 months to farm that said piece of free to play gear or simply pay to win just to get back into PvP, right? This would be a great system and a lot more consumer friendly, and players would feel better about the game if you did this. Also, cosmetic rewards, right? The Warlord gear, I guess you could argue, is, something to go for, but the community sentiment is it just looks ugly and it's not very appealing. The cards are pretty cool. I will say that the cards are pretty cool. I think a lot of people like the cards, but we could do mounts. We could do, I don't know, just more cool, cosmetic, unique rewards for both ranked PvP and tournaments. Make players want to actually get into ranked and grind a certain piece of gear. Now let's talk about the PvP meta. We still have, again, people account sharing and boosting and sniping within the first page, and it's gotten so bad to the point where where there's literally hardly anybody that's even up here. It's just the same people account sharing and the same people trading rank, or what's the saying? Like win trading, right? It's just the same thing over and over again. And it's really sad to see because, again, the leaderboards are supposed to be a place where you look up the players, but I'd argue majority of the first and second page, well, it's not even an argument, it's a fact, is all boosted, sniped, or account sharing, right? Majority of them. So KI should really look into doing something about that, whether it's like a rank reset or what, but right now, it's just like pretty sad to see that. Also the meta, right? The meta's been about the same for 6 months now. We've been saying this on the channel for quite some time, right? I think Fire got better as of the recent update, but, when you have a school with bad stats like Fire, and then you buff their stats, of course they're going to get better, right? That's kind of what's to be expected. And when it comes to PvP and the meta, the devs and CS just really need to do a better job with penalizing people harassing and cheating in the arena. And the game balancing team needs to do better with listening to the community, right? I haven't really played much recently because of, how bad and slow the updates are, but Banshee is still a problem. Quake is still a thing. Shield Gambits is still really broken, right? Stone Colossus Minnow doing like half of my health guaranteed on a storm at all times is still really dumb. Stat balancing and other schools being better because obviously their stats are better is still a big problem within the game, right? For example, why does an open Hydra do more than an open Trade-in, right? When the combat model says Storm is supposed to win that trade. So there's still a lot of big glaring issues in PvP, and it's the same problems it's been the past 6 months, and it's really sad to see, being a paying member, that nothing has been changing on that regard. So I'd really like to see actually listen to the community and do something about these broken, disruptive schools and cards in the meta in the game. And lastly, I want to talk about advanced content and primarily raids. I think advanced content, again, should have an introduction to it so we can get more people from PvP into it. and therefore, raiding and doing advanced content, which I think is great. I think raid gear is a problem because you cannot PvP if you do not have the raid gear. Also, the raid is way too difficult itself. Like, even me, somebody who, of my reputation, I still can't, if I wanted to PvP, I don't have the raid gear, so I can't PvP if I wanted to. But yeah, that's everything I want to see in Wiz. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below, guys. I'll be reading them, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, and take care.